Good evening, everybody. We are here with Jason Blandy from Traveler Plumbing, and hope y'all have some questions lined up. He's ready to answer some. Most he's been here full time, 18 years. Been on his own with calling it Traveler Plumbing for 8.
Last 6.5.
Last 6.5. All right, so he has been around the block a time or two because you worked for Kirkendall for
I worked for Kirkendall for almost 4 years.
almost 4 years.
Yes, sir.
And then went out on your own after that.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. So, hi, Ellen. How are you? I got a question that's not plumbing related.
Okay.
What kind of is that folder that flooded?
Yeah, what about it?
Is it still up and running?
It is. It's got a little bit of white smoke coming out of the intake, but other than that, we're good.
Oh, good deal. Good deal. It's about time to drag them machines out and get them back.
I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, the weather is getting there.
For sure.
Sure enough. Where's everybody at with the questions? Jesse, you got any questions?
Oh, sorry, I'm trying to.
So, for one, hey, your sister said, hey, brother.
Jason,
Yes.
tell us your story.
Yeah, for sure.
As far as,
However far back you want to go.
well,
How long have you been in Greers Ferry?
I've been in the area my whole life. We moved to Arkansas when I was 2. Moved up to Fox, Arkansas, just north of here in Stone County, and grew up there through my youth. Moved away to Searcy for college. Went to Harding University for a little while, and that didn't really work out. Ended up in Arizona, Louisiana, all around the country working. Always ended up back in Greers Ferry, just as kind of a home base. And anyway, got a job in the oil field here locally. That had become a career over about 6 years. I was really loving the oil field and that kind of thing when it started to fade out. Happened to run into Mike Kirkendall, owner of Kirkendall Services back then, and told him if he needed some help, I had some free time, I could help him out. About a week into it, he asked me what I thought of being a plumber. Told him I'd do it if he taught me. He had 48 years of experience at the time, and the rest is kind of history. I started working for him, and toward about the 3rd year of my apprenticeship, his health started fading. So, trying to complete an apprenticeship, and he was trying to keep me busy, that kind of thing. Just really wasn't working out as far as his health was concerned. So we had to do something different. Came up with the idea to go ahead and start my own business as an apprentice, which is not really kosher as far as the plumbing or the health department's concerned. So what I had to do was hire another local plumber who had a master's license. His name's J.R. Manus. And he overseen the last half year of my apprenticeship and my journeyman license under Traveler Plumbing. He was actually making money as master for Traveler Plumbing. Once I had the opportunity to go take my master's test, and there had been enough time passed since I had my journeyman license, went and completed that, shook hands with JR, and here we are 6.5 years later.
Well, you kind of answered the first question we had, what made you want to be a plumber? And it was just happenstance.
Happenstance was what initially got me into it. At the time, like I said, the plumber that I worked for, he was getting up there in age, as well as several of the other local plumbers. We had a few that were right there at retirement age, and there was nobody to really fill their shoes. So I seen the need in the community for somebody to be operating a plumbing truck, and kind of ran with that. Also, just the ability to get out there and meet the community, meet people in the community. Made a lot of friends and acquaintances over the last 6.5, actually 10 years. That we still hold relationships today. Y'all are a prime example of that.
That's what we talked about with Steve the week or so ago. That's one thing we love about this community is, you build friendships. It's not just business. It's a community, and we all do what we can for each other as much as we can for each other, and that's one of the things that we all really love about it.
So we're getting we're getting a few questions.
Okay.
But the first comment was from Danielle Wiley saying that she liked the beard.
Well, thank you.
Question: How
He's
often
a show off.
You're just jealous.
I am jealous.
It took 27 years.
42.
First question: How often should you have a septic tank pumped out?
In a normal household, I recommend it about every 7 years.
Okay.
With normal use. On a lake house, I've seen septic tanks go 40 years without ever having a problem.
So like your like the wipes and stuff, do they, like your baby wipes and that type of thing, do they?
They say plumber approved because it's job security. They're guaranteed to clog up a septic system or a sewer system. If you live in Fairfield Bay or anywhere like that, if you've got a pump, you do not want to use wet wipes and flush them down the toilet in any occasion, except maybe a hotel room.
Next one is plumbers often have crazy stories. Got any? So I'll say,
Not offhand. Let's come back to that.
okay, we'll come back to that one. Next one is, are there a lot of health codes rules you have to abide by as a plumber?
Yes, 100%. We have to complete 8,000 hours on the job and 640 hours, I believe, of school before we can even become a journeyman plumber, where we still have to work under a master for another year to supervise 100% of our work up until that journeyman license. And then they're still the ones that are signing off and carrying the liability for our work until we do get our own master's license and go out on our own. Excuse me.
You good?
Do you have, so once you get there and you're out on your own, do you have like for us, we have CE every year that we have to keep our license up to date.
In the state of Arkansas, there is no real continuing education once you have your master's license, but the code does change occasionally. At this point, I learned on a 2006 plumbing code, the Arkansas Fuel Gas Code, and the Arkansas State Plumbing Code, 2006 edition. Now the guys that are in school, they're learning the 2018 edition. I need to learn the changes and updates in that as well. So it's really up to me to continue my education. But in order to be successful and be able to offer the best quality in what we do, we have to continue our education.
For sure.
Okay. So, Clint, this question is not fair since I'm the one reading it. But
I'll ask that question because I feel your pain, my friend.
sure.
So the question is how do you keep hair out of your shower? My wife sheds.
Well, they make some little screens, for $2 or $3 that you throw over the drain, and that's the best way. Other than that, there's really not a good solution to it. They make some little drain snakes and stuff like that, little plastic pieces that you can buy. It'll pull the hair right out of there and save you a service call.
I tell you what, we done that out at the house one time, and luckily our neighbor had one of those little bucket snakes he let me borrow. And I tell you, hire a plumber to come do that. You don't want to pull that up. You want somebody that has the stomach for that.
Yeah, it takes a hardened stomach.
Yeah, you got to be prepared for that.
Okay. I have heard certain cleaning products such as dishwasher pods can clog pipes. Is there any truth to that?
From what I understand in the research, because I follow several different plumbing pages nationwide to see what they're running into, how they're doing things, and as that's part of what I do just to keep up with the times. As far as dishwasher pods, I've heard some bad things about them. I've never really experienced it. I've heard the powdered ones are worse than the liquid ones, so that you want to stay away from the powdered ones because they do, and the casing that they're in is part of that because it creates a slimy, sticky substance that will adhere to the walls of your pipes if it doesn't make it all the way down the drain.
Yeah, because we've heard about that in, I guess, washing machines and dishwashers. The same thing, basically the same kind of stuff, I assume.
One thing I run into a lot is washing machines and kitchen sinks being tied together on a drain that's not sized properly. And the grease from the kitchen sink mixing with the soap from the washing machine tends to create quite the clog. And that's a little disgusting to repair, but it's definitely something that we've had to upgrade on more than one occasion.
Gotcha.
So to go back to like the wipes and stuff, that got a question that asked, what about wipes that are marked as flushable?
Again, that is job security for plumbers. We are guaranteed to get called out if you're flushing wipes down the toilet.
Okay. What are the best things you can do to preserve a septic system?
A septic system, a lot of people use Rid-X. I've seen the powdered type Rid-X create havoc in sewer systems and septic systems. It turns to like a concrete. It's promoted big time, on all you see commercials. Everybody's seen a Rid-X commercial. That's not the best thing to use. Kirkendall, the guy that taught me, he always told us to use live active yeast for baking. So basically, you take a packet or a tablespoon of dry active yeast, flush it down the toilet once a month. There's enough bacteria in that yeast that it's going to help preserve it. Main thing is to have a proper septic field installed, and again, have it maintenance, pumped out occasionally every 7 years or so. And that's going to maintain the life of your septic system more than anything, is to have it pumped and have it inspected.
And Miss Laura had a question that I was going to ask at some point, but go ahead and ask it, and then I'll follow up with some.
She said, she asked, do you have any suggestions on getting ready for the upcoming winter cold weather?
Winter cold weather for lake houses, I would recommend killing the breaker to your water heater, turning your water off, opening all your faucets, draining your system to the best of your ability, and opening cabinet doors, leaving your heat on to about 60 degrees. If it is a vacant home. If it's a home that's a permanent home that's lived in all the time, full time, my best suggestion is to drip water, when temperatures do dip well into the freezing range, and open cabinet doors, leave your heat on, and just be aware of your plumbing. When you go to build a new house, avoid putting plumbing on exterior walls in the design. That's one thing we run into a lot, and I usually tell people this is not a good idea, regardless of how well your house is insulated. If you've got exterior plumbing, say on a north wall, chances of it freezing increase dramatically.
For sure. So if you have if you buy a new house and you're looking for a septic tank, do you have a way to find one?
The way we find it is we have a camera that has a locator. It sends out a signal, and we're able to usually locate the septic tank within a foot or so of the access to it. And it usually doesn't take very long, about 45 minutes. And on that, I mean, we're looking at, a service call and a camera charge. So
the success rate of that
success rate
really
has
good.
been about 99%.
Nice. That's hard to beat.
Can you get the live active yeast that you were talking about? Can you get that at your local hardware store?
I believe you can buy it in the baking section of any Walmart. It's probably at the dollar store down there.
Yeah.
Clint had a question. Is there any way to keep roots from taking over your lines?
There's several products out there that advertise that they can. I've not personally seen it and able to give a testimonial on the success of it. We've pulled several, systems. The main thing is having the system installed correctly the first time. All your pipe glued together properly and tested before it's covered up and, left to the elements, because you don't want to plant crepe myrtles around a septic system. There's several things you can do. to keep roots away, as far as just being aware of where your septic system is and what you're planning around it. That's the main thing.
But the typical like grass roots and whatnot.
They're not going to penetrate a properly installed piping system.
Next question is, what are the upsides and downsides of a gas tank?
Gas tankless water heater.
Yeah. Gas
Well, when it comes to
tankless water heater.
when it comes to tankless water heaters, gas tankless are the only kind that I really recommend. Electric tankless, they sound good on paper. They're fairly inexpensive for the unit itself, but then you're paying a plumber to, make that change for you, or to install it for you. You're paying the plumber to do that. And then you also have to pay an electrician to come out and run power to it. Those things tend to draw at least 120 amps, which means you have to have at least 3 40-amp breakers. When they kick on, your power bill's going up. You're not saving anything with an electric tankless. Propane tankless, or propane or natural gas, either one of those I've seen great success out of. They're on demand, so you're not heating water that you're not going to use. You're not using energy that is pointless. And I really don't see a downside to a gas tankless, other than the fact that it has to be descaled at least once annually. So because of the way it heats the water super fast, all your minerals and they calcify on the inside of the system.
So think of it like a coffee pot.
Think of it like a coffee pot. You want to clean that coffee pot or that coffee maker, every once in a while.
Yeah.
And you want to do the same with the tankless. It's really the lifeblood of the tankless water heater to get those things descaled.
Or your coffee cup.
Hey, don't diss my coffee cup. It's been with me since I was 17.
Listen, I'm not allowed to wash this coffee cup.
But on the we were going to do a tankless at the house out there when we remodeled and everything, and that was what turned us off on it, because we were going all electric, of course. And they were like, if you got gas, go for it. If it's electric, it ain't going to pay off.
At one point, they were offering tax incentive energy rebates for installing gas tankless, and because they are so energy efficient. They're 98% efficient water heaters. All the energy that you're putting into heating that water, you're using on at the tap.
Right.
How long does one last? A tankless?
Tankless,
On average, if it's a full-time home.
As long as it's being maintained, the sky's the limit. I've seen some units at this point that weren't properly serviced that lasted as long as 15 years or so. And if they would have been properly serviced, like I said, the sky's the limit. You're not having to worry about a tank, of 50 gallons of water sitting there. But you do, you just want to take care of your water heater, no matter if it's a tank system or a tankless system.
Right. And I just want to go back to that question that was asked earlier about memorable jobs. There has to be a job where you something funny happened.
Well,
I was fixing to I was going to carry on with the question.
Carry on with the tank
Yeah.
in a minute.
Yeah, I try to forget the interesting ones for the most part. Because if they were interesting, that means something bad happened.
Well, I mean, you never started shoveling somewhere and fell off and had to go home and change clothes.
Yeah, a time or two. There was actually, yeah. Let's go on that. There was a cabin. I'll not say where it is because it's still there and it's still in the same situation, I believe. But the septic tank is actually underneath this thing.
Under the cabin?
Under the cabin.
Oh.
Where I have to crawl around.
Right.
Well, the access was pulled off of it, but covered with plastic. So as I'm crawling, hands and knees, stick my hand where I thought it's supposed to be solid and went shoulder deep into a septic tank. Yes, that happened underneath the house.
So
And
you got some stories on it.
yeah, you want to learn to keep your mouth closed whenever you're in certain situations. I mean,
So your sister's throwing you under the bus. I love it.
okay.
She goes, Oh, he has some because he's told me some funny stories. And then Clint followed up with, "You ain't got no Joe Dirt experiences?"
No Joe Dirt experiences.
You ain't never toted you a meteor ride around on a wagon?
I've not.
And ate your cheeseburger off of it?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's some interesting stories along the way. But like I said, for the most part, we cover so much ground and take care of so many people. Anymore, it's just plumbing. I mean, whether it's the nasty situations or new construction, it's just plumbing, and we're there to do a job, and we try to leave behind the best job that we possibly can as far as quality is concerned.
I mean, you've never had somebody helping you that got chased by a snake and bumped their head on the...
I had somebody plug in a sewer pump that had already been cut loose and, get completely showered in raw sewage. That's the kind of things, I mean,
No thanks.
that sometimes happen in the field, but it's not the norm as far as it goes. That's one reason I have. So there's not enough people in the plumbing field as it is, and that's part of the reason is because they have this preconceived notion that you're going to be dealing with, raw sewage on a regular basis. Well, you do, but you do it in a sanitary way. You do it in a clean way to where you're not getting it on you. You're not risking your health or the health of anybody else.
Right.
That's the main job of the plumber, is to protect the health of the nation.
Right.
We're the first line of defense when it comes to disease and, that type of control.
And I know this guy probably has an idea of what he's talking about and what he's mentioning here. He says, ask about the dead turtle in the crawl space.
That was probably my worst experience by far. I was
This should be good.
in under a crawl space where my back was on the ground, my chest was against the floor joist, and I was working above my head back in a corner on a shower drain that had came loose. The people had called for a foul odor coming from their shower drain. In most cases, it wasn't installed properly. There's not a trap, that kind of thing. Well, in this case, the shower drain had came loose. Well, they weren't smelling the shower drain. They were smelling a turtle that was turned upside down right beside the shower drain that I had to repair. Well, I had a little 3-foot shovel with me. And like I said, I'm in a space where I can hardly move, very claustrophobic. And this thing's about 2 foot from my face. As I'm going to shovel it, I spilt a turtle. If you can just imagine that concept,
I'm following.
a turtle spilling. It was one of the most disgusting experiences I've ever had, and I couldn't get away from it. And I still had to make the repair, so it was very interesting to say the least.
And what's the difference between Schedule 40 and Schedule 80 PVC?
Schedule 80 has a higher PSI test rating. It's used in applications where you are going to be running under high pressure, higher pressure than Schedule 40 a lot of the time. It's still for cold water use only. You don't want to put Schedule 80 on a hot water system because it will fail at that point. It's just a stouter material. I mean, you go down to SDR 35 pipe. That's the green pipe that you see in drainage systems and septic systems. So that's actually thinner and holds less pressure than Schedule 40. Then Schedule 80 is your next step up.
So back to my question that I was going to ask earlier, going back to Dee's question on the tankless water heaters, and you were talking about maintenance and keeping the upkeep and stuff on. Kind of explain that. What kind of maintenance and maintaining are you talking about? Because I'm one of those. It's a water heater in the closet. Leave it alone until it's broken.
Well, I mean, the best thing to do is call a plumber in that situation. And do it annually. So you want to set up an annual maintenance routine on your water heater where you're calling your plumber. They're going to come out, they're going to bring a pump and some solution with them that's designed to clean the inside of that water heater. And at the same time, they're going to be cleaning the filters, making sure that everything's working properly. There's no leaks, no scorch marks on the unit. it's better to have a plumber there that knows what they're looking at, and to be able to go through and verify that this unit is in good working order and will be for the next year.
So would you do that on do that on a standard water heater as well?
It's a good idea too. It's definitely going to maintain the life of your water heater, a tank type, if you drain it once a year. You've got and you can go as far as changing the anode rod, which would be something I would definitely recommend a plumber to do. But you've got a self-sacrificial anode rod that takes all the tuberculation and corrosion that occurs in a tank type water heater. Well, those fail completely after about 6 years. So if that's not replaced, all that tuberculation and corrosion then begins attacking the tank. Well, everything that builds up, as well as the dissolved anode rod, lands in the bottom of the tank. So when we go to drain a tank, a lot of the times we'll have to force air through it or water through it to get it to drain and get all the debris out of the bottom of it. So you're actually taking a shower. When you take a shower in hot water that from a tank that hasn't been maintained or drained at least once annually, flushed out, you're actually getting some dissolved solids in there that you could avoid. So it's a good idea. What I recommend people do is just for the sake of safety, go ahead and kill the breaker, hook a water hose to your water heater, drain it for 10 to 15 minutes a year, and that's going to cut down on the dissolved solids that settle in the bottom of the tank.
And is there a time of year that's better to do your service point? You know, if you're going to have it serviced once a year,
What I recommend is 1 year from the date of install,
and just keep that.
up.
Yeah.
Can you put us on the books to check our water heater?
It's not gas, but it's a water heater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, is your choice of plumber been? Oh, sorry, she's just giving you a shout out. That's Ellen Bryant saying that you were their choice of plumber. You've rescued them a time or two.
That's a fact.
Well,
That's,
thank you, Miss Helen.
That's one of the things one of the reasons we wanted to, part of the reason we wanted to do this. I mean, it's kind of multi reason of why we wanted to put this thing together, and that's part of it. I mean, to get you guys out there and to let y'all tell y'all story, and as a thank you, because like I told Steve, as real estate agents, we're super needy people, and you guys save us a lot, and we
Save a
appreciate
lot
it.
of our deals.
Well, at the same time, we're always looking to improve our service. So, I mean, I'm looking for positive feedback, with things I could have done better along the way. I mean, if anybody ever has anything that could help me improve, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to be.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the best kind of water line piping, and how does it compare to others?
A lot of it goes back to the installation. Any approved piping for the system you're installing, it is going to be a good piping. So in a drainage system, under a slab, we use Schedule 40 PVC. Once we get above the slab, we can actually use a Cellcore DWV pipe, which is still a Schedule 40, but it's a lighter pipe, a little bit cheaper. It's a great pipe. It all comes down to the install and knowing how to do that properly.
Would that be kind of be comparable to like your old mobile home piping? Is that?
Well, there's some piping over the years that's been terrible.
Yeah.
Black rolled polyethylene pipe. For the most part, that was installed for service lines back in the 70s in this area. At this point in time, it's at the end of its shelf life. We're having to replace several service lines because this stuff's just getting to a point to where it's busting continuously. Yeah. The type of piping we use in all our water distribution systems is PEX. It's a cross-linked polyethylene that at a molecular level actually expands and contracts with the temperature variations. And I've only seen in 2 instances where it failed due to freezing and busted. One time it was a piece of pipe that was installed too close between fittings, which didn't allow room for expansion and contraction. So when it froze between those two fittings, it blew out. The other time I seen it, it was a clear PEX piping, and it had actually been turned yellow over the course of time. And a lot of times whenever you see yellow PEX piping, that means it's been exposed to UV, to sunlight. It sat out in the sun for a while, and that weakens the pipe and can cause failure. Other than that, we've had excellent luck with it over the last 10 years. We have to do very few repairs on PEX. It is pretty well the standard in the industry now, just because of cost and overhead whenever it comes to the install. If people prefer copper, we can do that as well. A lot of plumbers, not me, but a lot of plumbers are using Pro Press fittings. You run into a super high cost on those fittings versus soldering and sweating the pipe. But there again, you have to know what you're doing, and it has to be done a certain way. Otherwise, you can cause problems. As simple as a plumber not reaming the inside of a copper pipe before he sweats sweats fittings together can cause a turbulence inside the pipe that'll eventually create pinholes. So there's you have to know what you're dealing with. But copper's great. It freezes and busts. I prefer PEX over everything, just for the ease of use, ease of repair, and so far the quality of it, it's really proven to be a good quality material.
So this is a really good question.
Okay.
Are there any health hazards associated with older houses and with old plumbing?
Health hazards associated with old plumbing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The main thing you're going to run into there is older houses that were plumbed with copper pipe. The lead content in those is going to be a lot higher than the lead content now. The Clean Water Drinking Act of 1996, I believe it was, actually reduced the amount of lead that we could use in our solder and in the pipe and the material that was used down to like a 0.01%, so where it was 5%. So lead is going to be the number one health hazard I would see in older plumbing.
So Clint asked, what is your go-to for stopping bad smells from crawling up your nose?
Mustache.
And Layla Owens said, where's my shout out, Uncle Jason?
Happy birthday, Layla.
Oh, happy birthday.
Birthday.
And Katrina asked a good question. Is Drano or those types of products safe to use?
In some cases, slower drain. If you've got a kitchen sink that's slow draining, Drano's an okay go-to. If you've got one that's completely backed up, I would rather it not have Drano in it, simply because I'm going to have to drain that sink, and I'm going to have to run my cable through it, chances are. That cable, the Drano interacts with the steel in that cable, making it brittle and more prone to breaking. So I recommend that you stay away from Drano on a complete clog, but a slow drain, I would say give it a shot. See if you can save that service call.
So to go with that question, it was asked, are all types of Drano, liquid plumber, etc., all about the same?
As far as I know.
Okay.
There used to be one that was...
There are some professional chemicals that I carry on the truck, but you have to have a license to buy them.
Well, you used to there. I don't remember what it was called, but it was in a red bottle, and you could buy it at hardware store.
Liquid fire.
Liquid fire.
That's it.
That's one of the stronger ones. Be very careful if you decide to use liquid fire.
Yeah, because it will literally get the pipe hot.
Yeah. It's some nasty stuff.
Yeah.
What is the best plumbing apprenticeship to attend for someone wanting to become a plumber?
Well, number one, to become an apprentice, you have to be hired by a plumbing company. You have to work under a master plumber. And at that point, they have 30 days to get you enrolled in an apprenticeship program. I went through the through the ASU Heber Springs Plumbing Apprenticeship Program. I also now sit on the committee for the Heber Springs Plumbing Apprenticeship Program. And as far as it goes, Paul Graham is the teacher over there. He has about a 99% success rate and pass rate on the journeyman test. As far as I'm concerned, he was one of the best people I could have had to teach me the plumbing code. He really goes into detail. The main thing is you want to learn that code. You're going to have to learn that code because that's what entails how we do our job and how what we leave behind, because our jobs are inspected by community water when we do new construction or service lines or something like that. We're going to be inspected by either the local authority or the state authority, the state health inspector.
Right.
So in commercial applications, we have to get it inspected by the state. We have to get it permitted by the state. In residential applications, we're just dealing with the local authority. In this case, around Greers Ferry, you're dealing with community water or mountaintop, over in the equipment area.
Yeah. Dee said, I have heard of some bad PECs. Is that something that you have heard of?
Yes, there's actually two types of PECs as far as the material itself. There's PEX A and PEX B. PEX B is a crimp-only type material that is brittle. The example that I use is I can take a piece of PEX B, I can bend it back and forth several times, and it's going to snap in half. Whereas I can take a piece of PEX A, I can sit there and bend that thing all day. I could have started when we got in here, and I could still be bending it, and it would not break. So, you definitely want to go with PEX A whenever you're dealing with PEX.
I did not realize that.
There's also PEX that's UV protected. Like I said, UV is a problem that, deteriorates the strength of the PEX. And all the stuff that we use is UV coated or UV protected, so that if it is exposed to sunlight for, if we've got some pieces laying out on the back deck, it's summer day, sun's beating down, I'm not doing any damage to that pipe while we're installing it.
Oh, your sister called you out again.
Oh, yeah. She, because she asked about the Drano and all of that, and she said, well, come fix the boys' bathtub then.
Okay.
He'll be over there right after the show.
Yep, Paul Graham said, great job, Jason.
Thank
He's been asking a few questions.
I bet he has. I was worried about his questions more than anybody's.
Well, he asked the one about the apprenticeship.
Okay.
So,
I kind of had a feeling. That's why I was glad she didn't say his name, because I didn't want it to make you.
Yeah, no, I actually expected Paul to come with some hard-hitting questions as far as plumbing's concerned. It's not a challenge.
So Dee said, why do people use PEX B? Cheaper,
and they're not knowledgeable on the difference in the two as far as the quality.
And Mr. Paul said a couple of things. He said, thank you, sir. I was hoping you would say that, LOL, and doing a great job.
Thank you, Paul.
He does sound very intelligent, so that's a good thing. That's what you need your plumber to be, is intelligent.
and Clint went back to, you said a mustache. Clint said that's flavor saver, sir.
And Tristan told Mr. Paul, you heard him, let him have it.
Well, we have the Texas family on here.
Okay.
And he said, I find this funny, just because knowing David like I do, ...
How many homes still have cast iron drains after all the years?
Several. One of the things we done this week was we added a shower drain. A guy is turning an existing half bath in a basement into a full bath. Well, what we had to do was cut about a 2 by 6 foot long channel in the concrete, dig down to the existing cast iron, and tap that drain into that, and then of course cover it up. and they'll have concrete poured back in its place. We do everything but the concrete. I'm not a concrete guy. I'd rather, stay in my lane when it comes to that type of thing, because quality's what I pride myself on, and that's what we want to leave behind. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm not going to attempt it.
Right.
And I do it for my own house, but not for anybody else's.
Exactly.
But no, cast iron is still very common. There's a lot of houses in this area.
You took it out from under ours.
Yeah, this area was really developed back in the 60s and 70s after the lake went in, and cast iron was the go-to pipe.
So Jacob Smith said this is very informational, sorry.
Is there anything, I'm sure of doing business here as long as you have and being involved in the community and all that kind of thing, I'm sure you're like we are. You have something you would like to tell the community. I mean,
the main thing is if you're looking to get new plumbing installed, or you're running into an issue with your existing plumbing, whether you call us or you call any of the other plumbers in town, I recommend that you call a licensed and insured plumber. Like I said, we have to complete quite the gauntlet of schooling and work experience to carry our license, and we also have to carry liability insurance, for the jobs that we complete. It also gives you a recourse. You've got a plumber that you can call that is in business if something does go wrong with their repair or something like that. We installed a pump last week, brand new sewer pump to replace one that had burned up. Well, the new one quit working. Went back over there today. In this case, it was as simple as calling my supply house. Hey, I need another pump. We're going to warranty it, get it installed, and those people have peace of mind that they can count on their plumber. If I didn't do that, they would then have the recourse to come after me, through small claims court or a lawsuit, something like that. And because I am a licensed plumber, that would be on my insurance or on me personally, depending on what my insurance said. Whereas an unlicensed plumber, they really have no recourse. They can take them to small claims court, but you're trying to get blood from a turnip at that point.
right. You chose to go that route.
Exactly.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Plaintiff.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Good plumbing's not cheap. Cheap plumbing's not good.
Exactly. So we have it on video, and it's live, and it's very documented. Your sister said, okay, I will admit I have a very smart brother.
She can't take it back now.
Nope, there's no going back on that.
But then we've got a question of, what's your opinion of the city taking on a treatment system?
Who asked that question?
Travis Shepard.
Travis Shepard. Well, Travis sits on the city council. And my personal opinion on it is a little bit different than my professional opinion on it. Professionally, as far as the trade that I'm in, the sewer system would be great for Greers Ferry. For me, for my trade, for my business. I would be able to expand. I would be able to put a truck just doing sewer taps for 10 years. I mean, it would be great. In the same sense, I live in the town of Greers Ferry because the town of Greers Ferry is a gym. Whenever you go anywhere else in this country, you're not going to find a place quite like this. This is home. It's always drawn me back, and I've always appreciated the small town, small community feel. Mm-hmm. A septic or a sewer system, a treatment facility, is going to come, in my opinion, with some setbacks, and the main thing is that it is going to promote growth in the area, but is growth something we really want in the area? It's going to have to be a federally subsidized loan. That's going to have some ties to it, such as we will have to install or have to have lower income housing. Something along the lines of Section 8 housing. And our town is relatively crime-free. Blessing. Everybody knows everybody. Blessing. I mean, like I said, we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world as far as I'm concerned, and I wouldn't trade it. I don't want to see it become something that I
have
don't
to
want it
move
to
away
be
from.
something that I have to move away from because there's not really anywhere else to go.
Being that such a loaded question, I'll chime in just in support.
Okay. I would like to see the conservation of Greers Ferry as it is, and that's where I'll leave that.
Preserve what we have.
Exactly.
And that's the deal for me. Call it selfish, call it whatever, because I agree with you. We're in the real estate business. City sewer would be great. Every little piece of dirt would be for sale, and it would be great. But I am against anything that cracks the door for a Walmart or something like that to come in and take out the mom and pop shops.
Yeah. I have a feeling this is a topic that could get us really.
I know, and that's why if we're moving on from that, but
Thank you for the question.
thank you for the question.
Definitely. Thank you, Travis.
Paul Graham said he is a great plumber. Other than the whole blue glue thing, now explain hydraulic jump. Just kidding.
Well, hydraulic jump means that your vent can't be any closer than, I believe, 32 or 36 inches from your toilet 90 because of the jump that's created past the 90 and it could potentially block off the vent. I remember just about everything you taught me, Paul. As far as the blue glue issue, I'm not a fan of blue glue, or lava glue is what they call it. We use a clear medium duty glue with an approved primer. And it's up to the plumber, really. I believe the clear glue holds better and creates a more secure bond. I also believe that it looks a lot cleaner than blue glue. When I see blue glue slopped all over plumbing, I think a handyman done it.
Gotcha.
Clint asked, what's a guesstimate to turning an electric stove to a gas stove?
Well, that's going to be dependent on the gas supply that's existing or not existing at the house. You know, getting a gas supply, that gas supply being properly sized, the distance that we're going to have to run from the existing piping or from the new supply to the stove, that can vary. If best case scenario, there's a gas line in a crawl space right underneath an existing stove, you're probably looking, with the conversion of an LP model, if we were to do it, 600 or so. I mean, every job in the plumbing field is going to be different, and it's going to be priced differently. There's really no standard as far as this water heater install to the next one.
And that's one of those questions we really shouldn't ask.
Well, I was going to follow it up with that's a conversation that call Jason up and
Definitely. I give free estimates on stuff like that, where we're coming out and we're changing a water heater from a tank type to a tankless, or changing a range out from an electric to a gas, or a new gas system install or something like that. We'll come out and we'll give a free estimate on any project like that. Whenever it comes to service work, there's really not a way to come out and estimate what that's going to be. Right. We just come out. You can expect the service call fee, which includes my first hour of work, and plus any material that we're going to have to use to make the repair. Every repair is different.
Yeah, but I do understand the question because they're are they still pushing for that to change, to get rid of electric stoves and go gas? I mean,
I prefer gas stove personally.
But I mean, I think they were trying to get it pushed through to where it was like a have to.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Big cities are facing expensive problems due to aging, failing water systems. Is that less of a problem in a rural area, or is it just not as publicized?
I'll read that again.
So I think what's being asked is and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Like community water system is pretty old for the most part.
Yeah.
And so is that system failing? Is that kind of normal? Is it a problem or is it just not publicized?
All of the above. All of the above. Community water and Heber Springs Water Department, I know, stay on top of their systems. They're always, they've got the best equipment, they've got the best meters. They're constantly maintaining their system, repairing their system, and upgrading their system. With both those companies, either Community Water or Heber Springs Water Department. Now, those are some of our bigger water departments. There's some smaller ones that probably don't have the funding, or they don't put forth the effort because of manpower, funding, whatever it may be, to go out and maintain their systems in the same sense. As far as around here, I believe we're in good shape. Now, around Little Rock and Conway, going back to Paul Graham, he brought in a piece of wooden water piping, a wooden water main that had just been pulled, or it might have been one of the other apprentices, but back when I was in school, they brought in a piece of wooden water main that had been used up until the last 20 years in Conway, Arkansas. So,
What kind of wood was it?
well, all your water mains used to be wood. If you ever heard the term fire plug, that's where that comes from. And the reason a fire axe has a spike on it is because they used to go dig up the water main, knock a hole in it, and then put a plug back in its place. And so that's where that term comes from. And yeah, all your water mains used to be wooden. And what it was they'd use wooden slats and a resin and band it. It's kind of like an old barrel.
Like a whiskey barrel?
Yep.
Gotcha.
Would you rather have a new construction, remodel, or service calls? Which is
Our number one thing is getting out here and helping the community when they have an issue. That's my favorite thing about what I do is being able to get out there and do the service work and meet the people and leave them, feeling good about the experience that they just had. Service is our number one. We do a lot of new construction residential throughout the year. We probably do 3 or 4 houses a year. I mean, that's not a lot, but for one truck, 2 guys, it is. I like both of them. I like service work and I like new construction, as long as we stay in the residential field. Now, once you get into commercial, like I said, there's a lot more that goes with that as far as the permitting and the inspections and that kind of thing. So the price automatically goes up. Also, when you're dealing with commercial, you're dealing with larger scale material, different tools, and it's just kind of a different ballpark in the same field, in the same complex. So I leave the commercial work to the guys who have multiple trucks out there running and do commercial on a regular basis. We stick to the residential service, number one, and if you have a home that you need new construction plumbing on, we're going to leave the best possible job behind. I mean, I enjoy both of them. The best part about new construction is at each phase stepping back and looking at what you've created that's going to be there for a lifetime.
Gotcha. And what I love about the trade stuff, any of the trades, all you guys, is I'm sure people have heard the story about the cruise ship that wouldn't start and wouldn't get going. And they paid this guy to come look at it, mechanic, and he tapped on the engine like 3 times with a hammer and it fired right up. And they're like, "We're paying you $600 for hitting it with a hammer?" "No, you're paying me because I knew where to hit it with the hammer."
Exactly.
So to follow up with that last question, he said, which is your most amount of calls starting out as a business?
As service is the main thing we deal with. There's a couple times a year where one at some point during the year we get a really wet season. And during that really wet season, the ground tends to shift. We get several water leak calls. and most of those are going to be right at the meter on just a male fitting or something that's going to snap because of the shifting of the ground. Same thing happens when it dries out. Is we get several, broken water lines because the ground's drying out and seizing up, and it shifts everything. In the wintertime, we get several frozen and busted calls, and there's been several years now. I mean, the last 2 years, I don't think it was last year, but the year before and the year before that, we had some major freezing temperatures, 10, 12 days at a time, dropping down around zero.
It sucked.
Yeah, it was terrible. But I mean, we were out running frozen and busted calls all hours of the night, Christmas Day. I mean, I actually had my wife in the truck with me on Christmas Eve out running service calls to get people fixed up and get their water back on.
So Mr. Paul answered your question on the wood mains. He said some was pine, some was cedar. Cedar tasted sweeter.
That seems fair.
Yeah. So pros and cons to grinder pumps on a sewer treatment system.
They're going to have to be maintained, and they're going to have to be replaced occasionally. The cost of those is significant, the cost of replacing them. In Greers Ferry, I believe that we're going to have we're going to have pump stations set up on the sewer system if it were to go through. The main con of it is the maintenance aspect of it. The fact that those pumps are going to fail. When they fail, they're going to have to be replaced at a significant cost.
What about the alarms that's on the grinder pumps? Do those go out pretty frequently?
Grinder pumps?
Not the pump, but the alarm.
The alarms, I've seen them fail in a couple instances. All that normally is just a float switch inside the tank at a higher water level. So it usually hangs there for most of its life without ever having to be engaged. I don't see the alarms fail on a regular basis. Most of the time they're operational when we go to change out a residential sewer pump.
Your bride said she was so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, wife.
Let's see. There was another question I was going to ask following up with that.
Okay.
Your better half said proud of you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're late. We already.
Yeah, we covered that. Didn't we?
Okay.
Yeah.
She told me she was going to say that. She said she was going to say a lot more. I hope she don't.
That's the first time she's piped in, so you're safe so far.
Well, they're
Ellen
having a
Bryant
watch
said
party.
you're doing
Are they?
great. I don't remember what my question was. I got off on the alarm and
We were talking about the alarms.
it just, I don't know. Because I guess you see more of those in like the Fairfield Bay area.
Fairfield Bay has several of them, but Fairfield Bay maintains their pumps because that is a
sewer
municipal sewer system.
Yeah.
So they're liable to the pump, or from the pump to the main. That pump belongs to Fairfield Bay all the way to the main. The homeowner in Fairfield Bay is liable to that tank with the pump in it. So if there's a clog prior to that tank, then it's on them to call the plumber and get it repaired. Whereas if the pump or something goes wrong after that, then they're going to be calling Fairfield Bay in that instance.
But if it's just a, say, traditional out of Fairfield Bay grinder pump.
Lake house down on a hill, and
Yeah.
they have to pump up above the white line. In that case, I mean, we run into that all the time. That belongs to the customer. It's the customer's liability to take care of. There's really no way to maintain them. If you have a pump on your system, going back to the wipes, do not flush wipes. Do not flush feminine products. Do not flush anything that could jam that pump up, because that's a costly repair, and it will create a problem.
I could definitely see it doing it in that.
Yes, yes. Male prophylactics. Don't flush them down the toilet.
Rooster said, "Hi, Uncle Jay."
Hey, Rooster.
So how is the plumbing on y'all house coming? Is it? Have y'all?
Oh, he's taking it personal now.
I-
Well, I've not installed the new bathroom yet. That's actually a couple steps down the line, with the remodel that we're doing. I have not done so much as ordered material.
It's pretty sad how we on our own stuff we just kind of get so busy doing stuff for yeah.
I don't have any drippy faucets in the house right now, so
So you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Tara's happy.
yep.
Yeah, all good. It's kind of gotten quiet. Where'd y'all go?
She did have to stay after me for about 3 months to fix a clogged drain, but yeah, that was on my house, so.
Yeah, when Clint said something about the hair a while ago, I'm thinking our shower really needs some attention right now.
A drain weasel is what it's called. It's like $10 at Home Depot. They usually have them hanging on the wall, and it's just a little spiked piece of plastic that you can run in there, and you just twist it a couple times. It'll grab all that hair and on a tub drain and usually pull it out. And like I said, save you the headache of having to call the plumber and schedule getting them out there. Because right now, I don't know about the rest of the plumbers in the area, but we are just as busy as we can be and have been since the beginning of this summer. It's been on another level compared to what we were the last 5 years, 6 years.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder why.
I don't know. This year it has just been.
Because I know when COVID hit, I mean, everybody just got super swamped.
Oh yeah, but since COVID, we've had several people move to the area permanently. It's not just they're not just coming up here to buy lake houses anymore. As y'all know, they're coming up here to buy permanent residences.
So that's probably part of it.
That's 100%.
Now that they're living there full time, they're finding issues or coming across issues.
Yeah, definitely. Because a lot of these people are coming here from Memphis and stuff. They've had this lake house for years and everything's been fine, but they've only used it on the weekends 3 months out of the year. And now they're coming up here, they're moving in full time. Of course, they're going to want to remodel, add some closets, that kind of thing. So, they're already doing stuff, but then, the plumbing is being used on a much larger scale than what it has been. And if there are any problems, they will definitely show themselves at that point.
We actually experienced that when we bought our house back in 2009 out there on Dunn. It had a well, and of course the people that used it were there pretty much just weekenders, so they never had a problem. The first week we were there, I'm outside doing something, and all this hair on her head. She comes out of the house.
Run out of water?
She come out of the house with shampoo all in her head, and she's like, "I have no water."
Well, first he yelled at me for coming outside and
Looking like a hot mess.
yeah, all
Like
I
you said,
had
the
on was a
UFO in the
towel.
backyard.
Did you ask Travis this question, or have you asked any?
I'm not gonna lie, we just been.
Okay.
Chad.
Well, Travis asked, with the shifting ground and soil, do you believe that there could be a breakage of sewer lines from the water mains in town?
With the shifting of the ground. So.
Well, I mean, the water company can attest to the fact that they're having to go out and make repairs on a regular basis, and they'll attest to this, the way the ground shifts. If it were a sewer system, especially a pumped force main sewer system, that could definitely be an issue that came into play with lines breaking due to the ground shifting, a few times a year. And yeah, I mean, that again, that goes back on, if we were to get a sewer system, it's going to cost the city a lot more money, and they're going to have a lot more employees to maintain this thing.
Yeah, I mean, and
I'm not knocking it.
No, I was just going to kind of follow up with that on having breakages. I mean, community water does a really good job, but I mean, it's gonna happen. Just like we lost we lost water already twice in a week.
Yeah. yeah, just right here across the street or down the road, they've had problems.
So I mean, it's gonna happen. We live on a rock,
100%.
so everything is shifting constantly. Our temperatures are up and down with the humidity, so
The main thing there is you're going to have issues. You're going to have broken lines, both on water mains and on sewer mains.
it's just life.
The main thing is having the crew and the manpower to go out and make the repairs when necessary, having the proper separation between the lines so as not to cross-contaminate the water service with a sewer break. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, this thing is, if it goes through, will be designed hopefully by professional engineers who know what they're doing and,
Right.
and the rules and regulations behind this. And it'll be done to the highest quality that we can ask for, I would hope. Main thing is the way it'll change the dynamic of our town. That's my biggest concern with the community sewer.
And I didn't say that to knock community water.
No,
They
community
do-
water do an excellent job.
Yes, I mean, all of the guys, the ladies in the office, I mean, community water is awesome. But stuff's gonna break.
They have the manpower and the willingness to get out there and repair it. I mean, that I can't say the first bad thing about how community water handles this system up here.
Yeah,
They
I
do a
just
great
didn't-
job, and we have some of the cleanest water in the world.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, go to where we grew up and look at that when you put it in a clear glass.
Yeah. I just didn't want any of our viewers thinking that I was trying to knock community water. That was not.
No,
I was using it as an example.
they'll up your rates on your bill.
I don't want that. No thanks. Many people are working from home now since COVID. So now vacation homes are permanent homes, and now the drips are becoming annoying to them. That's fair.
Yeah, that's one way to sum it up for sure. And definitely there's several people. COVID opened up the door to work from home for so many people, and they've never went back to the office since. So I mean, there are several people that I know that have moved to the community since COVID happened, and that's why, because they now have that opportunity. And I don't blame them. This is, like I said, one of the greatest places that I can think of to live.
For sure.
And yeah, just
They moved here to get away from the city.
yeah, the hustle and bustle of the city, and
And they liked our laid back, slow pace kind of.
let's keep it that way, guys.
For sure. For sure. We love it here.
So we did get a comment earlier. They were like, we have Travelers Plumbing on here, but we have Tim's Heat and Air on the main screen.
Yeah, tell them
And I
about
was
that,
like,
David.
Well,
I just said it was on purpose.
yeah,
But yeah.
it is on purpose. So thank you, Steve Timms, for being a sponsor of this week's show. And I know you were looking forward to Jason Min on here tonight. I think you and Jason know each other fairly well. And
Steve does excellent work. He installed the new units at my house, and they've saved me a ton of money.
I bet by switching to Steve.
Yes. Well, no. Well, I mean, Steve done a wonderful job installing them, but I mean, just him referring what I needed for my house and sizing the system to fit. We're having great luck out of it, and our electric bill went from $400 plus a month to less than $150 a month with the new
amazing.
unit.
Now everybody's going to be calling Steve. Hey, can you get
Yeah. Can you do this for me? What you did for Jason? Question, is there any health benefits to using copper over PEX?
There's some debate out there about,
Cost would be one, right?
well, cost is going to be the number one thing. You're saving some money by installing PEX. You're saving some headache by installing PEX at the same time. Like I said, copper is more prone to freezing and busting, and if it's not installed correctly, is more prone to pinholes. As far as the health, there's some debate out there about dissolved plastics and that kind of thing that leach into the water from the PEX piping. The thing is Arkansas didn't adopt PEX as an approved material until after the year 2000. It's been available on the market since the early 90s. So Arkansas Health Department actually tested and retested PEX to make sure that wasn't going to be an issue. I have full faith in drinking a glass of water straight from the tap on a house plum with PEX. Same goes for a house plum with copper. Copper has some health benefits naturally, just because it's a naturally occurring mineral, and copper is good for your body. There is actually going to be some of that copper that leaches into your water. If it were tested, there would be a small copper content. Whereas with PEX, I'm not sure there would be a small plastic content in the water. Copper's not bad for you. If you have any galvanized piping in your house, that's where you're going to run into health concerns. Galvanized is still an approved piping for water distribution systems as up to the 2006 code. I don't know about the 2018 if it's been outlawed or not. I've not read that part of it to tell on myself. But galvanized from the time you install it, it starts rusting and creating a tuberculation inside the pipe that over time I've seen what would be a 1 inch or 3/4 pipe down to the size of pencil lead inside of it. That's all the water that's going through it because of the debris that has built up inside these lines. Well, if somebody were to make a repair on that, any bacteria or anything else that's been growing within that conglomerate in that galvanized is going to break loose. With disruption, is going to break loose and get into the water system. So that can be an issue. Also, water that sits between 80 and 110 degrees tends to set up Legionnaires, and that's another thing that if you don't have your piping installed correctly, or older piping with galvanized systems, you can set yourself up to have health problems.
Is it true Arkansas has one of the strictest plumbing codes?
As to my knowledge, yes. Arkansas has a very strict plumbing code with very little redundancy as far as licensing being approved from out of state. A master plumber from Tennessee has to come and sit and pass the Arkansas master plumber's test before they can start doing work in Arkansas. So we've got some really strict guidelines. The Arkansas Health Department is on top of trying to protect Arkansans and the health of Arkansans. And plumbing, like I said, is the first line of defense in doing that.
Mr. Paul said, and the apprenticeship as well.
The apprenticeship, yeah. Like I said, 600, he might correct me on that, but 640 hours of school, I believe, is what I had to complete.
Yeah, I was hoping you would answer something.
It's
wrong,
4
even
years.
if it was on purpose. I just want to see what he'll say in the comments.
Yeah, I would, to see if he'll call him out.
Yeah.
Because, he's being really nice.
He is.
But Paul did say when you were answering the health benefits over copper, over PEX, he gave you an exactly. So apparently you did answer that one right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to think I know what I'm talking about.
You're Mr. Paul approved so far.
So far.
Yeah. So while we're kind of in a minute, Clint, way back on up there, said, I need to hear a 2-minute sales pitch, LOL.
I don't have to sell it.
There's enough of us that talk. That
Yeah, I'm not a salesman. I have no reason to sell what I do. You need it.
well,
Yeah.
that's fair.
You have to have it. Like I said, my number one pitch would be whether you use me or use any other plumber, use a licensed and insured plumber to do your plumbing repairs or your installs.
So Ingram's Plumbing said 680 and 8,000 OJT.
Yeah, 8,000 on the job. It may be 680. The 640 was just ringing in my head. But thank you, Ingram.
And Paul said, yep.
That's awesome.
Y'all have been so great.
It's been a good time. And dude, I knew you were smart. I misunderstand.
Listen, I was feeling completely dumb at some of the words he was using.
But
What does that mean?
yeah, it's been good.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on.
So, any last minute into episode comments or
Mainly thank everybody for tuning in and the questions. I mean, there were really no hard hitting questions. I actually came into this with a few nerves, knowing that the plumbing apprenticeship program's watching. I figured they might have some questions that would try to stump me, but no, it's been great. If y'all have any plumbing issues, feel free to call us. Like I said, our number one goal is to leave behind a happy customer with a quality job.
And Travis asked, do you get more business off of word of mouth or Facebook?
As far as advertising, I've not done a lot of it. I throw out some shirts and hats to people that are going to wear them around town. I get a ton of word of mouth referrals. One customer telling the next customer, this is who you want to use. And that's a great feeling. We don't do a lot of advertising. We've got a sign, up at the gym whenever they're playing ball, that kind of thing. About to get a sign on the fence up there. But that's more just to support the school.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Or about, yep.
And I'm about supporting my community and helping my community.
Because we
Greers Ferry's home to me.
and this place is, I mean, that's what I was talking about when I said there's a lot of us that talk a bunch. That's the advertisement. I mean, it's true with all of the local businesses.
I've printed 2,000 business cards since I started, and that's it.
What people say is either going to make you or break you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. You can spend $1 million a year on advertisement, and if the word is bad, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, we've definitely been blessed from the day we decided to make this move and open Traveler Plumbing. I mean, it's been a blessing, and we look forward to doing it for several more years in this area. I don't plan on going anywhere else. Right now, we cover about a 30-mile radius from Greers Ferry, and our workload is overloaded right now. If it maintains that level of that degree of being overloaded to where we can't get to people when they need us, I'll have to expand and I'll have to put another truck on the road. Right now, I have a helper who is sitting in class right now watching this, and he has all the interest in the world of becoming a plumber. It's not something everybody's interested in. I'm going to do my best to help him, teach him how to do this to the best of his abilities, and then I'm going to set him loose out there. And
we need to give him a shout out too. I think.
Yeah, Tristan Forsyth.
He's
been excellent.
Seems to be a good guy.
Yeah, he earned his money yesterday, but got a little break today because of the rain. And
he did say love the hat, or I love my hat.
Travis said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got mine
sorry,
too.
wrong person. Well, y'all both do.
Yeah.
Paul said, "Go to church if you want to work."
Go to church if you want to work.
Go to church if you want to work.
I go to church because Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior.
Preach.
Amen to that.
Well, I want to say that we appreciate you for the simple fact you were Johnny on the spot, and you was like, when y'all get it up and running, I want to be on it.
Yeah.
And
I definitely want to support y'all in this whole endeavor. I mean, so far you're doing great, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.
yeah, and that's our ultimate goal, is just promote our local businesses and just get the word out about our local businesses. And if it makes our businesses grow, it's just a benefit.
It's just a win-win.
But just like we said with Steve, I mean, you can attest to it as well. In our business, we work for so many people that we never met.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. But at the same time, if you call right now and for the last 6.5 years, if you call Traveler Plumbing, you get me.
Right.
You get me on the phone. I'm who you're going to talk to. I'm who's going to schedule the work. And also, I'm going to be the one that shows up at your house. And that's been the way it's been for 6.5 years. That's one of the hard things about putting another truck on the road is
You
they're
can't
going to
control
have to perform, and do the same job that I would leave behind because I'm not going to accept anything less.
Right. But there again, I mean, I can't say it enough. That's one of the things that just makes everything about this place so great. I mean, you're not calling and talking to a call center. You're not going through all that.
You're getting real people.
You're talking to the human that you're going to see at some point. I mean, you go to Bentley's or wherever, and you're going to see them. I mean,
I mean, if you want to get your name out there and get your business out there, go to Bentley's.
Bentley's definitely helped me out.
Bentley's and Borehouse.
Well, when I was working for Kirkendall, he was adamant about taking a lunch every day, which my helper might complain, but we try to just knock it out and get home early. Normally, we might grab some chicken strips from the gas station, something like that. But whenever I was working with Kirkendall, we'd go in there and he sat down at what's referred to as the liar's table for y'all that don't know.
Right.
Bentley's has the liar's table. This is all the old timers that have been around this area for several years.
Generations.
I started listening to these old timers, and that's all I did. I sat there and listened most of the time. I'd chime in occasionally, but those guys sitting up there at that table, J.R. Manus, that's how I met him.
He's awesome.
Charlie James, rest his soul, was another great man in this community. Junior Fife was another great man in this community that supported me. And I had the support of the old timers in the community because of eating lunch with them every day when I started. I couldn't be more grateful for the amount of support that I've gotten from this community since the day I started.
For sure.
Yep.
Helen said, I tell people, leave a message. He is a working plumber.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, if I don't answer the phone, leave a message. I return 99% of my phone calls and text messages. There's a few that get by me, occasionally on a rough day, but
Sir, and it depends on
for the
your
most part,
service,
for the most
your
part,
service.
I am going to call you back. It may
be the
be
end
a
of the
couple
day.
hours,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm definitely going to call you back
Yep.
and at least touch base with you. Make sure you've either gotten your problem fixed or, hey, we're going to get you scheduled and we'll be out there to take care of it.
For sure.
So I guess I'll put the final touch on it.
Okay.
As far as any of our local business owners out there, if y'all want to come on and speak about your business, help your business grow, reach out to us. I mean, you can even call Jason and he will put you in contact with us.
100%.
Not that we're hard to find, but
It's the octagonal building in town.
Say that one more time.
It's the octagonal building in town.
Oh yeah, you can't miss it.
no.
But-
Travis Shepard said, keep Greers Ferry great.
Amen, sir.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
We I had a thought and you made me
Sorry. I
it's
think,
cool. It don't take much to make me go pshoo.
well, that popped up and it needed to be said.
Yeah.
I lost it. It's gone.
Like completely gone.
Yeah, it was a fart in a whirlwind.
That's my problem, not yours. Again, Jason, we appreciate you and we thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to ask one last question.
Okay.
Same as I asked Steve. Would you come back and do it again?
100%. Anytime y'all.
Well, good. Because that was what I was going to talk about.
See, there you go.
We're not, this is not a one and done for anybody we have on here. I mean, for right now, it's all new to everybody. It's new to us. It's new to the guests. If we sound nervous, it's because we are.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean,
Or I'm freezing to death.
or we're cold,
Steve.
whatever. But so this is not a one and done thing. I mean, we're as long as the viewers are there, as long as the guests come in, we want to do this for as long as we can. I mean, this is I don't see a downside to our community and the new people to our community getting to know the people that they're going to have to get to know at some point.
Yeah. You see me around town, Bentleys, FLs, gas station, come up, say hi. You know, if you
Absolutely.
got something you need, my number's readily available around town. Or like I said, just come up and introduce yourself. I'm happy to shake your hand and we can talk about it.
For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, I've even been voicing it to David, but thinking of the idea of doing like a collaboration, like with you and Steve, because some of the things that y'all do kind of go hand in hand. And, you
occasionally.
know, and I was like, that would be
I
kind
mean,
of cool.
y'all both sweat copper.
Yeah.
Y'all both get the same call about a leak from the ceiling.
Condensate drain, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and if there's something out there that y'all want or someone y'all want us to make contact with to get them on the show and talk to them, whatever, listen, we're open to all ideas.
Because I tell you, we've the ones that we have reached out to have been gracious and said yes, and without even realizing it. I mean, I think we have one a week scheduled until the first week of December at this
The
point.
second week of December.
Sorry, the second week of December. So
And we didn't start really calling anybody until a week before Steve come on.
Yeah, that's when he called me.
Yep.
But no, I mean, what you're doing is great. Greers Ferry we're isolated. I mean, if you come here and you think you're just going to get a job and live in Greers Ferry and drive 10 minutes and be home every night, that good luck. Most of the people in this area are either business owners, self-employed, or they work out of town. They drive at least 30 minutes to work one way and you know, spend 8 hours on the job in another town making revenue for that other community and so forth. And then they're having to come back, you know, after dark, dog tired. Greers Ferry is a place where self-employed businesses who get out there and perform do really well. And it's because our community is so supportive of those that are trying to make it here in this community.
even if we're in the same business,
Yeah, 100%.
support each other.
100%.
Yes.
I don't have competition out there. I have some people who help me pick up the slack.
They're helpers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just like they're helpers. I mean,
100%.
it's
Well, I mean, just what Katrina said, we have an amazing community, awesome place to live and raise children.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it says it all.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it.
No.
No. But we do appreciate everybody for tuning in. Great questions, great conversation. And who do we have next week?
Don Hartsfield, the killer.
So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and just I guess throw that out there. I guess my name's going to be the sponsor up on the wall, just like Steve Timms is tonight for me. So
Yep. So
keep that from being a question.
Travelers Plumbing will be the sponsor for next week's episode.
So
Keep the trade alive because for the most, it's a way of living. Yep.
for sure. So with that, we're going to say
So,
good night.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
deuces.